Hello class, and welcome to the 0018 Test 2 Review, Part 1. There are 40 questions on the test. The first one, you're going to be given something like this, where you have a bunch of squares and some of them will be shaded, and you need to do, say the big rectangle represents one whole, what fraction is shaded, whatever color. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as a whole, and 5 of them are shaded. So that's all that you do on that one. Next, you're going to be given a fraction, let's say 1/7, and you need to write the equivalent with a numerator of 8. So what we're going to do there is 1 will go into 8 times. So that means 8 times 7 is 56. So you're going to type, the answer that you'll type is 8/56. Next, it's going to give you a fraction, say 4/7, and it's going to say equal, and a box with a 28. So if you figure out what the numerator is, so what you do is 28 divided by 7 is 4, times 4 is 16. Next, you'll have to reduce a fraction, let's say 12/14, and put it in the lowest terms. So what we're going to do is find something that will divide into both. I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 6 and by 2. I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 2 and get 6/7. Then you have another fraction to simplify. Let's say 14/14. 14 divided by 14 is 1. Then you'll have, write 6/4 in lowest terms. It does say to write the answer as an improper fraction. So don't divide out and turn it into a mixed numeral. Just see what a common denominator is for here. Again, it's going to be a 2. So we're going to get 3/2 as our answer. Another one just kind of like that. Let's say 30x/50x. The x's are going to cancel. And 30 divided by 50, we can divide each of those by 10 and get 3/5. Then we're going to multiply some fractions. Let's say we have 1/12 times 4/5. Since in this class we're not allowed to use a calculator, we can make things a little bit easier by simplifying before we start. We can simplify the 4 and the 12. 4 will go into both of those. So if we divide this 4 by 4, we will get a 1. The 12 by 4, we will get a 3. So what we're left with on top is 1 times 1, which is 1, and 3 times 5, which is 15. Now let's say we have 9/5 times 3/5 times 11/4. There's nothing to simplify here, so I'm going to do this in parts. I'm going to start with 11 times 3. I'll leave 9/5. 11 times 3 is 33/4 times 5 is 20. And now I'm going to go 9 times 33 So 27, 9 times 3 again is 27. So 297 over 100. There's nothing we can do with this one to write it in lowest terms. If there was, you would need to do so. Next, let's say we have negative 7 over 24 times negative 4 over 7. So we can simplify a lot of these. We see that we have a negative times negative, so we can just, our answer we know is going to be positive. The 7s will cancel to be 1s. 4 will go into 24. 4 will go into 4 one time. 4 will go into 24 6 times. So now what we're left with is 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 1 is 6 for an answer of 1 over 6. If you wanted, you could have said 7 times 4 and 24 times 7 and then reduced it. Doing it like this is a lot easier though. Next, you're going to get a parallelogram. And you're going to have to find the area. So the area of the parallelogram is base times height. Our base is 47 and our height is 50. When we multiply that, we're going to get 0. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 20, or 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3, 23. So in this instance, it's 2350. You don't need to write the units, I don't believe. If you do, just write whatever the units are squared. Next, you're going to be given a bunch of fractions and you need to write the reciprocal. So if we have the reciprocal of 5 over 9, it's going to equal 9 over 5. If we get 1 over 6, it's going to become 6 over 1, which just equals 6. If we get 9, the reciprocal of that is 1 over 9. Next, we're going to divide some fractions. Let's say we have 4 over 7 divided by 20 over 7. The first thing we need to do is flip the second one and multiply using the reciprocal. So 4 over 7 times 7 over 20. When we do that, we can make it easy and simplify. The 7s will divide out and become 1. We can divide 4 and 20 both by 4. So this can go to 1. This would be a 5. Our answer, 1 over 5. Next, let's say that we have a whole number, 12 divided by a fraction, 9 over 4. So let's turn the 12 into a fraction, 12 over 1. Turn it into a multiplication by doing the reciprocal of the second, which becomes 4 over 9. Now we can simplify here if we want, and divide the 12 and the 9 by 3. So this will become a 3, or a 4. This will become a 3. So now we have 4 times 4 is 16, over 1 times 3 is 3. The next one is a division of 0 divided by a fraction. Let's say 0 divided by 5 over 12. Since it's 0 divided by anything, the answer is going to be 0. If we had 5 over 12 divided by 0, it would be DNE, or undefined, or does not exist, however you're going to put it on there. Next is going to be one of the questions like in the homework, where each party guest will eat 4/9 of a pound of chocolate, how many guests can be served with 12 pounds. So we want to know how many guests will do 4 pounds or 12 pounds. So we know that it's 12 divided by 4/9, because each one is going to eat that much. So when we do that, we're going to go back to having 12 over 1 times 9 over 4. This one's a little bit different than the last one, even though the actual numbers are the same. We can divide the 12 and the 4 each by 4. This becomes 1. This becomes 3. So we have 3 times 9 is 27 over 1. So 27 people will eat 12 pounds of chocolate. The next kind of question is adding fractions. So let's say that we have 4 over 7 plus 1 over 7. We already have a common denominator, so we're just going to keep the 7 and add 4 plus 1 is 5. And that will be our final answer, since we cannot simplify this one. Next, we need to find the least common denominator of 3 fractions. So let's say that we have 7 over 15, 11 over 10, and 2 over 25. To do this, we can find the prime factorization of each of these. For 15, 2 won't go into 15, but 3 will, and it will go 5 times. So it's already prime. For 10, 2 and 5. For 25, 5 and 5. So to find the least common multiple, what we're going to do is do all of the numbers with the greatest exponent. So we're going to pick 5 squared times 3 times 2. When we do this, it's 25 times 3 times 2. 25 times 3 is 75 times 2. 75 times 2 is 150. So for this one, the least common denominator is 150. If we have now a subtraction, 10 over 11 minus 1 over 6. I'm just going to use 66 as my common denominator. So to do that, I'm going to multiply this one by 6 over 6, this one by 11 over 11. What I did here is I just multiplied this denominator over itself times this fraction, multiplied it by 1 as 11 over 11. This one I used this denominator, 6 over 6. So I'm going to get a 60 over 66 minus 11 over 66. When I subtract, I'm going to get 49 over 66. The next question is going to be a subtraction with mixed numerals. 9 and 7/9 minus 3 and 5/9. There are multiple ways to do this one. I'm going to, just in case it's the one on the test isn't like this, as easy, I'm going to change everything first into a mixed numeral, or into an improper fraction. So 9 times 9 is 81, plus 7 is 88 over 9, minus 9 times 3 is 27, plus 5 is 32 over 9. When I subtract 88 minus 32, I'm going to get 56 over 9. Now I need to go back to a mixed numeral. 9 will go into 56 6 times. 9 times 6 is 54, so there's a 2 remainder. And so 6 and 2 over 9. Next, let's say that we have x minus 5 over 10 equals 9 over 10. Because we have the same denominator, I'm just going to leave it and add 5 over 10 to both sides. So these are going to cancel. I'm going to get x equals 9 plus 5 is 14 over 10. Now I'm going to reduce that by dividing both by 2. So it's going to equal 7 over 5. On this one, you do not need to change it into a mixed numeral. So that's the first half of the test. Come back for part 2.